Does this thing go away?
I was trying to make it go.
There you go. Oh, we got waves.
Send a request to be in your live video. I think we just invited you.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Should we get to...
Oh,
I was gonna say,
people are watching. Hi, guys.
Hey! What's going on?
Look, technology.
We didn't really know what to do there for a second.
We were trying to figure it out on this end.
Hey, Aaron.
Yeah. It was a bit of a long show for a sec.
Yeah, I never have done one of these before, so it's all a new
It's
adventure.
a little bit fancier than Facebook Live, I think.
Yeah, I know. Everything's so fancy now, and like, I don't know, the camera gear and setups that people have are unbelievable. Like the lighting, like these certain things that can come in and make you look amazing all of the time.
Not
It's
here.
terrible. Yeah, that's not happening here. I took a shower. I was like, all right, first one in 4 days. Just, all right, so no big deal.
That's I'm on the same schedule as you are. It feels like.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
I
How
like
are you doing?
So should we introduce ourselves? People are actually watching. Okay, so we are launching a podcast called Total Transparency Podcast
That's
with
it.
Carolyn and Brad.
Yeah.
Brad and Carolyn. We haven't figured that out.
That doesn't matter.
I think
You know,
Carolyn
we're
and
both
Brad sounds
on
better.
it. We're both. That's both of our names there, right?
Yeah.
This is Dr. Nicole McClellan, also known as Dr. Kokes.
That's me. Yeah, so
Our naturopath.
I work out of Proactive Health and Performance Center, and I'm a naturopath and registered dietitian, and I love sports mostly.
Yay, sports.
And I love sports. No, that's awesome. So how did you actually get the name Kokes? Because it's not really any of your middle names or anything like that. So why don't you tell the fans, the viewers, how did you come across that name?
7. All 7 people tuning in.
Hey, 7 people.
Well, actually, some of the people tuning in actually probably know this story. There's good friends of mine on there. So when I was born, my brother couldn't say Nicole, so he called me Coco. And then as I got older, it kind of like evolved into, but like everyone called me Coco, like principals, like I just didn't have the name Nicole. So it was so strange to
Just like principals. Just went straight to, even principals called me Coco.
That's how serious it was, though. Like my mom was a teacher too, so she was at the school and she'd always just call me Cokes or Coco, and then so everyone just kind of adopted that.
Was your mom like a duty teacher at school at all?
I feel like they had shifts.
A duty teacher?
What does that mean?
Maybe I'm old. I think my mom was like a duty teacher, so she was like always there at recess. She was like the police there, So if someone's like doing something wrong,
I don't
the
think
kids.
I called it that.
That's not a thing.
I think like shift work. So like some days you would be on duty and have to go out with the kids and monitor, and then other times you could enjoy your lunch or something. I don't know.
Is your mom a teacher?
Recess monitor.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My mom
Legit.
wasn't. She was just the crazy person that just like showed up
Random
and
person at school.
volunteered to be there.
Oh, okay.
I think she just wanted to secretly watch over us while we played, and just like,
To make sure you weren't messing with anything.
Which now I understand, because I would do that with my kids. I just go and like volunteer.
He's a little more intense than I am with the kids.
Oh yeah.
I am,
Yeah.
right? I can't help it. I'm just like, oh my
I
god,
think it's because
fuck.
I'm with them 24/7, and usually minus this quarantine, not.
The thing that gets me is when they're eating, like when they're learning to eat.
Yeah.
Oh my god, because like I wasn't there for a lot of it for Kenley and Jax. He was like he started eating, and I was in what was I in Sydney, and then I came back. She's like, "Oh, can you watch him for a sec? He's just trying to eat something." And I'm like, "He's eating." He's like, "I'm like, oh,
I mean,
fuck.
Chandler would be like
What the
18
fuck?"
months old, clearly eating food, and he was still like, oh my god, she's eating food.
I feel like I'm gonna stress so much about that. I don't even have kids, but like when I even watch my friends' kids eat stuff, I'm just like, is that okay? Like,
Oh, it's terrifying. It's
But I
terrifying.
don't find it terrifying. Maybe because I did the research on it, so I'm
I'm also
aware
in it.
that the gagging and the choking is totally normal.
Yeah. They're like eating in the back. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like,
They have
no,
to
you
let
can't,
stuff out,
you can't eat
I
in the
give him
back.
snacks, not Jack, so I can tell me snacks in the car, and he loses his mind.
I can't handle it. Right? So,
Whatever.
so how are you doing through this whole quarantine?
You know what? Like the first couple days were rough on me for sure. Like closing down, Warren had to close down the clinic, and like There is an option to do telehealth, but my gain is face to face 100%. Like there's just some like natural energies that you feed off of, and like a lot of the stuff that I did is like hands-on anyway, so I just find it so difficult to switch to online, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you guys are kind of like hands-on over there. I think it'd be hard for Dr. Warren to poke somebody over the phone too, right? So
doesn't quite work that way, hey?
Yeah, I thought you guys were like, geez, you guys were like posting you were staying open, and I was like, you know, after my fight, I was like, fuck, because I wanted to get in, but I knew I was in Toronto. I had to stay away, but my leg was fucking jacked up, right? So I was already injured before I left, as you know, anyways.
Yeah.
Right? So, but he kicked me very hard in my leg.
I saw that.
I told him afterwards, because we were cool afterwards. Like I had no problem with him. He's a good guy, and we actually hung out with his coaches after the fight. And I just told him, I was like, man, it's like you guys fucking knew I had an injury on that leg. I was like, he just targeted that, like bang, bang, and fuck. Yeah.
I saw how hard that kick was too, and like you took one limp and then was just like it didn't happen. It was crazy. I was just like, how is he just walking after that?
Well, and there was at one point I was like, fuck, I gotta stop like getting kicked and move my leg back. So I kind of just like you check it by like planting your foot and kind of move it, like say this is the shin, you kind of like lean into it type thing. Right? So I can't do it. Hold on a sec. Here's what we're gonna do. I was like, boom, and like, you know, I kind of leaned into it with my shin.
Yeah.
And that actually felt the best. Honestly, it was a weird, satisfying feeling because it hurt really fucking bad, but at the same time I was like, I just checked it. Now he's fucking hurting too. It was weird, satisfying.
But for anyone that's not aware, Brad had a pro MMA fight 2 weeks ago. That's what he's talking about.
He's just not like out in his backyard fighting people.
I run around and kick people.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Like we for the clinic that first week. Can you still see?
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
What's going on?
Yep, we're back.
Still back. That like stuff was going down. Warren like every precaution, and we had to do like mass emails to everyone saying like, if you've been out of the country, if you've done anything, like don't come in here, essentially. So it was I'm losing you. Am I back?
In the bed right now, Kokes.
Well, out in the valley here, I mean.
You're good.
Anytime your phone moves even a little bit, it's like your Wi-Fi is like just not having it.
100%. If I am in my living room and then I come up, I lose calls all the time.
Country living,
You're
right?
in the middle of nowhere.
So,
It's the best life.
yeah. But you were saying, so like, you know, you guys are taking all the precautions and stuff like that. I was getting the emails and I was fucking like, I can't go. So.
Yeah, and it's so hard. Like it's all our livelihoods, right? And like Warren has to make that decision. It must have been like the most difficult decision, but you still have to do it. Like the health and safety of everyone else is way more important than, you know, anything.
For sure.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like that, because I know the government has told a lot of gyms and stuff, like you have to shut down MMA gyms, Good Life, all that stuff, right? So that was kind of just like Dr. Warren said, you know what, I think we're going to shut it down, or was it kind of like enforced type thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think like a bit of both, and then you have to just do your due diligence, because like, you know, our whole thing is to do no harm. That's like the mandate of any sort of medical professional.
Yeah.
So if we're breeding disease by people not even know, I think like the biggest thing that was a game changer for us is like you could have no symptoms and still spread it, and I think that's what was just like we got to shut it down, you know?
Yeah,
Totally.
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So what's kind of like something, we got a little bit of notes here. No big deal, right? I actually wrote all the notes, which I'm like fucking proud of myself. I didn't see that coming.
And the reason I didn't, because he did.
Yeah,
oh, there you go.
Whatever.
He didn't need help. He's never done this type of thing before, ever though.
No.
He doesn't write notes for anything.
So
I love it.
there's a lot of
Conspiracy
like
theories.
conspiracy shit out there. There's a lot of people saying, hey, do this. This is the remedy, when that's not really fucking true at all.
So tell us, what is the cure? You obviously know it.
Tell us.
I just be rolling it if I do it, right? I think like this goes back to, and I think this is hopefully a huge eye opener for everyone, that it's your immune system is so important, and your body's ability to fight things off is so important too. So I think like this has to be a larger conversation. It's not really about, I mean, like in the moment, if you have the coronavirus and you have bad symptoms and you can't breathe, like obviously you have to go to the hospital. They're trying out different things now, medicine-wise, of what might be beneficial. There's not really great evidence because we're just basing it off of what happened in China right now.
For sure.
But I think like the bigger picture of all of this is like to eat real food, to get enough sleep, to drink enough water, to take care of your body. And I think a lot of us have done a horrible job of that for like a really long time, you know?
I think a lot of us did a really horrible job at the very start of this as well, myself included. Like,
Quarantine. I think like we were talking the other night, I just had like, I don't know, a bad day and like the clinic was closed and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna have some Oreos here.
That was like 6 days in a row for me, but it was like, you know,
Way more
multiple
than
bags
seven
of
Oreos.
chips. See, I was coming off of a quick crash diet, plus getting quarantined in the house with all kinds of chips
So
and
we
stuff.
go to Walmart and bought what should have lasted a normal human being probably at least 3 weeks.
I don't want
3
to talk
weeks
about
worth
it.
of chips.
I don't want to talk about it. All right?
The other night, I was unaware that he'd eaten all of the chips. And he said that he wanted snacks. And I said, we'll go down to the freezer and get some chips. And he goes, well, there's none.
I want to just put it out there that I'm ashamed. All right?
No, don't be ashamed of food ever. Who's it? Aaron
No.
just said I had a handful of mini eggs last night.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah,
fine.
like-
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like there's this whole other emotional part of food too. And I don't believe it should be like I don't know, like our only solace or the only thing that brings us happiness, but there's also some sort of comfort in it and some sort of like camaraderie. Like my husband and I don't really bring junk into the house because we will eat it. Like we're very
Sure.
passionate about
That's
snacks, you know?
Yeah.
I can keep junk in the house and just nibble at it over.
She has to
Whatever
hide it
kind of
because I'm
days.
just like sitting there. I'm
But
like
if he knows, it's gone.
doing something. I'll be like reading a book and I'll just like get up and be like, all right, I've had enough. And then she's like, what the fuck is going like, it's
Yeah.
complete silence. She's like, what's going on? Like, I'm eating those chips in the freezer, all right? That's
Yeah.
enough.
Like he's literally having an internal monologue for probably, half hour, an hour, fighting with himself to not eat the chips.
Yeah.
And it's like
So-
such that bigger picture too. Like Aaron's just saying I cried after. That's horrible, right? Like I hope
Don't cry,
That's-
Aaron.
yeah, that shouldn't be your relationship with food. And like if you had some mini eggs, I had some Oreos. Like I never buy Oreos. I was just like, oh, I have a hankering for them. And then I ate a whole
Yeah.
sleeve of them, and I was like, you know what? Tomorrow we work out. You know?
We do better
Exactly.
tomorrow. So
Yeah.
obviously, so here's what happened was you went to the grocery store hungry.
Yes,
And
100%.
you got the Oreos.
Yeah.
That's when the
That's the first
decisions are made, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I need to have like a pig out on good food and then go to the grocery store
We
or not
also
go at all.
Usually,
She
he
needs to
usually
go,
does
right?
not come to the grocery store ever
And that's
because we
okay.
spend a significantly more amount of money when he joins.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it was nuts. I
But-
did-
Yeah. And groceries now, like junk
I-
stuff is crazy expensive too. It's wild.
oh,
Yeah, so he never
Terrible.
comes anyways. So when
Yeah.
he comes, that's when the junk gets bought because he just throws it in the cart, usually without me knowing.
so how is we touched on this like a little bit the other day. How is the smaller communities?
Yeah.
Like how do you feel about say the social distancing out there? Are people actually really following the
Or do they
guidelines?
think they're just immune to it because it's small town?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like my brother just sent me a link to this like COVID tracker, which is terrifying that
I've
that's a
seen
thing.
that
now.
too.
Have you?
I've
Yeah.
seen that this
Is that
morning.
the John Hopkins one?
I'm not sure what it was. He just sent me the link and he was just like, Kokes, be careful. Like there's tons of people in the valley with this. Like make sure when you're going outside. But I mean, as soon as I figured that
Don't go outside.
basically,
As soon as I
oh,
went
that's
outside,
nice.
yeah.
He's trying to protect me, right? But yeah, like I think it took a little bit of time to clue in. Like even still, I was like, well, can my friends come over? But then still, if we stay outside and we stay 6 feet apart, is that okay? Or like, what is okay, you know? And now with the emergency measures, it seems really, really clear that like, don't go anywhere. Just stay in your house and don't talk to talk to other people, but don't go socialize. Don't go hang out with your friends, even though if it's just one person, you know?
I know, it's so fucked up, right? Because you're just like, well, like for me, I'm sitting here and I'm doing like online, like jujitsu, online Muay Thai classes and stuff like that, which only get you so far. And I'm just like my best friend is, I'm just like, he's like champion of Canada for boxing. I'm like, well, maybe if I just did pads with him, like thinking it in my head, and I'm just like, fuck, don't be part of the problem, right?
Yeah.
I don't know where he's been.
Well,
Or
and
who he's been around.
And you see people doing the online
Joey,
training.
Joey's
He's an
that
animal,
guy.
right?
That guy.
So, like, the people are doing the online training stuff with a partner.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, you guys, okay, social distancing. Here, everybody, we're going to put a video together. Meet here, me and you. And then they, you don't know.
Yeah.
Right? You just assume, you're like, no, that's my bro. He doesn't get it.
Yep.
He's
That's
fine,
what we
right?
do. That's human
But
nature.
but it's not like AIDS. It's not like, oh, that's my bro. He definitely doesn't have it. Right?
Yeah.
It's not like, I know where he's been. He's clean.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't work
We don't
like
know
that.
where he's
It's
been.
totally
We don't know
different,
what
right?
he's touched.
Yeah,
So-
and the tricky thing is, like, so many of us have immunocompromisations that you wouldn't even think about. Like, asthma is a really big one, and then some people have exercise-induced asthma, and like, diabetes is a huge one. Like, a lot of older adults have diabetes, and like, you're just putting them at risk. Or you'll go spar with your buddy, and then his mom has it, and then you just put that whole family at risk. So it's not worth it, I don't think.
Here's something I was curious about. You would know this. Am I immunocompromised with celiac disease?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, relatively. Like, our gut health.
Sort of.
Yeah. I mean, I think, like, we could all put immunocompromisation on some sort. Like, even if you have a flu, you're technically immunocompromised because your immune system is trying to take care of this flu, and then we put something else on top of it, So I think it's more, but yeah, like, gut health is huge, and celiac, you're already working at like an impaired function, and there's constant inflammation going on. So, well, I guess if you remove the gluten, which you've done for a long time. Yeah.
So if you like were celiac, but you were really diligent with it, then you remove all the gluten. You're like, inflammation, like, is it still way down, or is it kind of like your body's creating inflammation out of other things because of celiac? Or how does that work?
I actually know like next to nothing about this. I just don't eat
just
gluten.
don't eat gluten. No gluten.
Yeah. So I guess what it comes down to is how much damage there was to begin with. Like, when did you find out? How long did you continue to eat gluten? Like, what, all of those things would play into it, and see what the like gut lining is actually looking like. Our gut lining has a huge impact on our body's immune system as well. So I think, like, it just depends, and it depends on how long people have struggled with it and didn't know it was celiac or whatever condition it was, But I think there's probably like a relative scale of immunocompromisation that exists, and like, I don't even think we know the science on that. Like, is celiac more apt to get it versus, a certain type of cancer, or even within type of cancers, like, who's more apt to get it? And like, I think all of this information, we're scrambling to learn as much as we can, but I mean, we just have smaller sample sizes to figure this out. And most things that we're looking at now is like, who's at most risk? Are pregnant women at risk? What type of chronic disease would put you more at risk? But yeah, the biggest thing that I could probably reiterate time and time again is just stay away from people.
That seems like it, right? Well, it's like what was fact yesterday is now it's not fact today, right? Like, that's kind of what seems to be happening with everything. It's like we're going to put it out here today, and they're just going off what they know. But like, it's like everything. It's, what I knew a year ago might not be true today. It doesn't mean that I didn't mean for it to be true at the time. It's just I was less informed, right? Yeah,
and that's like my life with nutrition facts. Like, one day this is truth, the next day that it's completely false, So I feel like I live. Sorry. I was just gonna say I live in this realm all of the time, so it's not new for me for things to adapt so quickly, but it's also, I think it's good to like keep us on our toes and keep us questioning. And I think this is another big highlight of question your doctor, question what you've been told, do your own research. Like, now we have all the free time in the world. Like, go look up how this works. Like, try to understand it, and like, if you're passionate about it, there's so many.
This works, babe. Come on.
Yeah.
I started. I'm in such a rabbit hole now. I got the fucking Ben Greenfield book, Boundless. I've been listening to his podcast. I'm like, what I thought I knew a week ago. Fuck.
I know, right?
It's crazy, right?
Yeah. I read something yesterday.
No, she didn't.
Yes, I did.
This is a lie.
That drinking hot beverages is killing the virus within your body. True or false?
Yeah, so I read a lot of these things too, and some people are saying like stick a hairdryer up your nose and stuff like that.
Which I usually do anyways, so that's great.
That's my weekend hobby.
Yes, of course.
So I think the degree of viruses don't love heat, but the temperature of heat that it would have to be would be extremely high, and by the time the water or the hot water is in your mouth, your body's going to try to cool it to an appropriate temperature, so it's never going to get to a point where it would kill off the virus, I would say.
So what you're saying is you have to drink the boiling water as fast as you possibly can. Is that what you're trying to tell us?
Yes,
100%.
Wow. Wow. I'm going to mark this down. We have a cure. 100%
Imagine.
Guaranteed.
Water, it cures all, right?
Oh, fuck. No, it's true, though. You know what is so fucked up about this whole situation? Like, you taking my notebook?
No, keep
going. So, everybody's like, all this conspiracy and shit, but I've found that this is the best time so far. And you know what? I want to be kind of easy on it because I know some people have lost some people. But
yes, people are dying. But serious.
In all reality, like, the world is kind of cruel. You lose people to different circumstances all the time. This is just very out in the public right now. But like for the most part, I've spent the most time with my kids and my wife. Like we started, hanging out a little bit more.
This is the most time we've spent in the 9 years we've been together.
And you started a podcast together.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
That's it, right? So it's like, I think people need to see the silver lining in all of this too, right? Like, take the time, eat good, live good, like see your family, be happy in this time.
You're within your house, not external family. So don't
yeah, really, right?
go visit your family members.
I've even done more video chats with my mom and shit like that. And my dad, my dad's socially fucking he does not do the video texting. Oh my god. To get my dad to text, that was the hardest thing in the world. He's like, I'm not doing it, Bob. I don't fucking think so. Just call me. I'm like, fuck off. I'm not calling you.
Yeah.
So it takes too much time. I can just text and then check it later if I'm busy, right?
So then, how are things with you and your husband being confined?
They're awesome. It's hilarious. Yeah. We had the funnest day together, and we're both children basically. We love sports. We love just anything that's gonna be a competition, and we feed off each other. Most of our arguments is who did it better or who won actually and stuff like that. So we set up a mini putt in our living room.
I've seen that. Yes.
He's a better golfer than me because I've only been doing it for a year. And
you were a hockey player, were you not?
Yeah.
Yes, but I don't feel like it's transferable skills.
Man, what is that fucking movie? Adam Sandler. Happy Gilmore. Get yourself a putter, a hockey stick.
That's what I need. I need that putter. If anyone's out there listening that makes putters, I need one of those.
Everybody has lots of time.
Yeah.
I can make it for you.
100%. So we.
There's only 6 people watching right now, so I don't know if those 6 people.
Watch later.
But when we post this,
we're
gonna get a couple more people, maybe 7 people.
Who knows? Let's just break, guys.
That's it.
Just tap it in.
Just tap it.
In.
That's all in the hips, man.
That's it. That's it.
And then we found this other app. It's called Quiz App, I think. And so we love trivia too. And so we play each other in that all the time.
What a good idea.
I'm terrible at trivia.
So the
I
other
don't
night,
know anything.
But the other night, we're like, okay, let's mix things up. Let's play a board game. After the kids go to bed. We're jazzed all afternoon about this board game. We're going to play Scrabble. We get the game upstairs. We don't have any tiles in our game.
Scrabble's hard though. I almost
Scrabble is the tiles and
that was
main part of the game.
I was actually pumped to play it. And I'm usually fuck that. I don't want to do that shit. That's stupid, right? And since I have a lot more energy because I'm not just wasting it, either working out in the morning, working, and then working out at night. It's just I was pumped to play Scrabble.
All kinds of pent-up energy to go into this game.
And then it didn't happen.
Tiles.
No tiles.
No tiles. We had the board and the little tile holder.
I, for one, did not see that coming.
No.
Right?
2 extremely competitive people playing Scrabble can get really dangerous too. Trev and I.
Last time we did play, which was a few years ago, it did get kind of heated.
Yeah,
it was really heated last time we played.
And I won.
Yeah,
no, she was pissed off because I won. No, that was Boggle.
No, that was Boggle. I never played Boggle.
I fucked her day up in Boggle.
No, we had dictionaries out. We were using like everything. It was so intense. And then there was just one word that I believed was a word, and he didn't believe that it was a word. The game pieces went flying. Like it was. Yeah.
That's
but
awesome.
yeah, other than that, it's been great.
Flying, and then everybody laughed, and it was okay.
And everything's fine.
That's right.
It's fine. It's fine.
No punches were thrown. Turn off the camera. Turn off the camera.
Yeah, it's hilarious. And like just being that, I don't know, like we never get to spend time together either because I have a 2-hour commute to work, or like 45 minutes each way. And then I spend a lot of time at work because obviously building a business takes time.
For sure.
And then my gym is at work, so a lot of the stuff that I do, I don't get to like hang out with him that often except for on the weekends. And he's like an extremely social guy, so this is killing him essentially. But we always have people here, and we always have people over, and we're always like entertaining. So
it looks like such a good time.
Yeah. It is always so fun, and we love it, and it's always awesome just to like have a place to play. And then he, as I had said, loves sports, so it's always like a competition. We always have like tournaments and stuff. And then in the summertime we play, have you guys heard of Beersby before?
Who?
No.
Beersby?
It sounds like Frisbee. I understand this.
Close.
Are you chucking beer cans at each other?
Kind of. Yeah. So it's like you have 2 poles, like I can't remember the distance. I think it's 6 feet apart. And then there's a hockey puck drilled into the pole, and then you put a beer bottle on top. And then you take your Frisbee and you have to hit the other person's beer bottle off their hockey stick. And if you hit the bottle, you get like a certain amount of points. If you hit the stick and it falls off, you get a certain amount of points. And then if the Frisbee's coming your way and it hits the bottle and you catch the bottle, you get 3 points or something like that. It's so
super
fun.
confusing. Super confusing. I appreciate this.
Yes. You gotta be there. You gotta be there.
So hold on a sec. So where are you getting drunk off this anyways? What's going on?
Do you drink it all?
Obviously,
you have to have a drink in your hand at all times when you play.
Well, but is there no like required drinking up the
like
drink?
3 points. I figure 3 points would be like 3 points. All right, you gotta
check your beer.
You gotta
no.
Check your beer.
You have to have like. Although we have a good time, everything is extremely competitive. So you want to make sure
that the drinking to like minimum.
I found that if I'm drinking, I'm the sharpest just before I get loaded. If I could use TJ's quote there I heard from today, before I brown out.
Yeah. Oh, hold on. Plug your podcast. This is
today I launched TJ's, and I thought that was hilarious. I had never heard that saying before. For brown out. I thought that was so cool.
What is it?
Before, like brown out instead of like black out, he said like he vaguely remembers certain things.
Yeah.
Browning out instead of completely blacking out. Huh. I thought it was pretty clever.
I thought it was too.
TJ Grant for being clever there, right?
I know, yeah. I love talking with him. Funny. He's a legend for sure.
For sure he is. Absolutely, right? No, he's a great guy. I get to train with him, I've trained with him like when I first started. That's like TJ was like the man, He was at Fit Plus. That's where I went into when I would go in there, and he would be one of the guys that beats the shit out of me, right? I kind of got like fast tracked into like the MMA class or whatever there. So pretty quickly I was in there with those guys, and I did not have all the tools to be able to handle the barrage of attacks that was coming at me. Like he said on your podcast, you need to have all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
You go in there and you're a boxer. Okay, cool. Like I come from a striking background, but most of the time now you see me grappling with people, right? It's just kind of what it turns into. I think that's because like I've had so many times where I'm trying to strike with people and they just try and take me down. So it just kind of turns into that. But yeah, you got to be really good at everything, right? So.
Yeah, and I think he highlighted that really well, and like all the things that he's doing for the kids coming up and stuff like that to teach them the foundations to be better, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. I think, like in my opinion, the biggest tragedy in local sports is that the number one contender and the coach that led him to be the number one contender don't work together to kind of like, and there's no collaboration, even if they're not in the same gym. It's just like, it's not happening. I think that is probably the biggest tragedy in the MMA community in this town. In the Halifax, in the HRM. There we go. That's what I was trying to get, right?
Or with that too, like over specialization in a sport, like get kids to play everything, you know?
For sure, right? Like guys like Jose Aldo, you know, like he had, like you know who Jose Aldo is. Do you?
A fighter.
He's a fighter. He was like the champion for like 10 years in UFC. Like he was the man, right?
Yeah.
He was a soccer player, right? And that was like his thing. He was just so good at kicking people's legs because he was a soccer player, right?
Yeah.
I think like it all just works hand in hand. Like, and you see guys like Lomachenko, the best pound for pound boxer in the world, but like he does everything. Right? Tennis, basketball, running, swimming.
Ballet.
And
Put your kids in ballet.
He did do ballet.
Hockey
That's
players
awesome.
do ballet. Play ballet.
And gymnastics is huge too for like mobility work and all that sort of stuff. Like, oh, there's just so much benefit to every sport, you know?
For sure. I'm actually trying to do a lot more yoga right now that I have some downtime.
We're both doing yoga.
So
I love it.
You got to. Yoga's the best.
And I took up running, something I never thought.
She did.
I have always hated running.
Which kind of pisses me off because I can't run right now.
So
Dr. Warren has told me, Brad, your feet are too fucking rigid.
You're
You're not allowed to run. Last time I started running out of nowhere, that started the series of...
No, it wasn't running, it was skipping.
Oh,
it was
skipping. But I started running after I was skipping.
Yes.
Yeah, I just wasn't... Yeah.
Skipping started your...
But...
Skip for 30 minutes straight, which I think should be a world record.
Well, but
30 minutes
I don't think so at all.
I wonder what the record is for that.
30 minutes straight. I was walking on the treadmill, and he was skipping beside me for
let's
30 minutes.
let's just put this out there that it wasn't one single time. Yeah, thank you. Here, I got a booger there too. Get that, would you? So, yeah, it wasn't one single time that I skipped 30 minutes. That was like
no, it was
the routine that I was getting into. I was skipping for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And then shadow boxing, and then doing my thing. So, and then being 33 caught up with me very quickly. Right? No, it's definitely because of my feet, and that's what Dr. Warren said. He's been working on my feet pretty much since my last fight in last June.
No, was it
May or June?
I think it was May.
Something like that. Anyways,
super pregnant.
2019 hashtag.
Dr. Warren is a chiropractor for anybody wondering.
Yeah, he's the chiropractor.
Oh, not a chiropractor.
He's the chiropractor.
He's the guy. He's the fucking wizard. I've heard guys like I call him the wizard. I know Kalades fucking refers to him as the magician, right? So
Aaron working lame. Bye, Aaron.
Aaron.
Thanks for hanging.
While she was here.
That's my best friend.
That's my best friend.
It's no big deal, right? So I don't think I've had any of my friends even tune in. They just don't care what I'm doing.
My friends always
right?
I only have 2 of them anyways.
Yeah.
Only one was here.
That's like blatantly obvious too when you're like socially isolated out here. You get like, I don't know, I love at work because there's always people passing by in the hallways and stuff. And I'm always just chatting. And
Usually he's there, 3 times a week?
At least. We have some good chats weekly. I love it. But
we do. Yeah, it's good. I kind of just pass by, and then I don't know if you're like busy and just being nice, or just because I'm just like pass by, you're like, hey buddy, how's it going? And then I'm like,
well,
okay.
Oh, hey.
If I always say hey buddy, then I'm ready to roll. If I like say hey and then I put my head back down to the computer, then I'm doing something usually.
She's like got like a client there, like injecting like the needle. Like,
what's going on, buddy?
How's it going? Oh, so hey, so anyways, I was just gonna ask you about something. You got a second?
I do that to you too, though. When I'm in with him, I'm like, so I have this thing.
Oh, you got a fan here. I missed
Terry! This is our massage therapist.
What's up?
I think that's the only person you haven't used at the clinic.
Maybe.
Massage therapist.
Maybe.
You should. It's amazing.
I'm running through everybody at Proactive.
Pretty much.
It's good.
Yeah.
Right?
I like it.
I've done physio, naturopath, and chiro at the clinic.
Yeah. Oh, so listen.
What?
Carnivore.
Listen.
Yes.
Carnivore. What's going on, big carnivore?
Let's preface it first, though.
Let's preface.
We usually are mostly plant-based.
Naturally.
We very minimal animal products. you just did a carnivore diet.
Which is funny because I passed by you and I was like, hey, this is part of the rabbit hole with the Ben Greenfield and everything. I was like, hey, I was listening to this fucking podcast and I heard about the carnivore diet and I could barely even listen. That was so fucking stupid. And you're like,
I'm doing
it. That's what I do though. Like I'll just pick these things and like when I hear about them and then people ask about them, I always just try them to see what it's going to do to my body. And for females, like none of the research is ever done on females. So like with ketogenic diet, with intermittent fasting, with all that sort of stuff, like we don't have a lot of research. So I'm always curious what's going to happen to a girl versus a boy when you're doing it.
Do you?
I'm gonna write notes. I gotta tell you something in a second.
Do you take it like one step further though when you're doing this? Because like I switched to a diet and I'm like, oh okay, I feel like this, cool. But do you do any kind of testing to yourself to see what's actually happening with your levels, maybe like your cortisol levels or anything like that? Like your body's depleted in one way or another, or?
Yeah, despite what like a lot of my friends think here, even though I'm like a medical professional, I'm pretty poor, to be honest. So like for me, all of the additional testing is out of pocket. So if I had the resources, I certainly would do that. I think that would be so cool. But for the most part, I think just even like knowing what my baseline is for my body and then any adjustments to there, what that would feel like.
Well, even like little things like, are you tracking yourself at all? Like, cause I'm like, I do like the Whoop strap or whatever. Is there anything like that? You kind of like, okay, well, part of your baseline, like checking your HRV and things of that nature, right?
Yeah, I think that's like so important, but I don't do it.
Ah, yes. Jot that down.
Do as I say, not as I do, 100%. But there's so much like, even like journaling and stuff. I tell so many of my patients to journal, and I don't often do it, which is horrible. Like I should be doing a lot of these things too. And there's a new company that's inventing like they have a wearable that I'm gonna purchase as soon as the next edition is on the market. And I looked at
when the world's done stopping.
Pardon?
And when the world is done being over.
Yes, when I can go back to like doing my normal lifestyle. So Whoop is amazing. I love when my patients have Whoop because it's so much information, right? I get to see how they're sleeping. I get to see how the recovery is. So that's huge for me. And then I often think too, like, I'm not going anywhere. Like, I'm just kind of not a bum. Like, I love my job and stuff like that, but I'm not like getting to the Olympics, or I'm not training for anything particular. So for me, it's just, I don't know. It would be cool to see what that would look like with the carnivore diet or with keto or with all that sort of stuff, I would say. Yeah. Maybe I should start doing stuff like that.
Well, here's some feedback for you, though. He had his concussion a year and a half ago, and you put him on a keto diet.
Yeah. Us.
And we did it together because I wasn't going to cook 3 meals for every meal because I do all of his cooking.
I know, that's amazing.
So we did keto, and it was probably about...
And I still complain sometimes.
Yeah, he does. It was like 6 weeks or so that he was on keto.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. He hated it.
Well, not that I hated it. If you remember, like and we talked about it, you're like, some people just can't switch over into ketosis like that. Like some people go into ketosis with a higher amount of carbs, right? And I was struggling. I was actually sick.
Yeah, we're going to bring it back to me now.
Okay, back and now a word from our sponsor.
So we did about 6 weeks, and I have no idea if this is actually because of keto or not. But interestingly enough, that was the month that we got pregnant with Jax, and had been trying for about 10, 11 months.
I was home a lot more too.
Well, but no, that didn't really change, I would say. But we did keto, and that was the month I got pregnant.
Yeah, that's super interesting.
The higher fat helped me hormonally. But we got pregnant that month, and you had given us those IV shots. Yeah,
that's super interesting. And I think
got pregnant about a week-ish after the IV shot.
So everyone looking to get pregnant, come talk.
Yeah, keto, IV shots, go see Kokes. She'll get
100% guaranteed.
No, but I've told a few other girls that get pregnant, that was the month we got pregnant with Jax, and we had been trying for almost a year.
Mm-hmm. So the biggest thing
that was the only change in our life was keto.
And I think too, like with that, the biggest thing that we see is reduction of inflammation which would be a huge benefit, right? And then for women especially, hitting, like, we need fat to make hormones, to make all of our sex hormones. So if we aren't hitting targets, like there was that huge movement to lower fat, so we were not even hitting baselines to be able to make sex hormones or make a functional amount of them. So I think it's really important that we, even if you don't follow keto or even if you don't follow anything particular, just have a good understanding of like what your body needs to be able to function too is huge, right?
Yeah. Huh. But yeah, that was, we need a little feedback for future clients.
Yeah, it's really good. When I went keto, it was the best I had ever felt. It, like, my brain, I had some pretty bad concussions in my past too, and like I felt I was firing on all cylinders, and like my hormonal experience was way better and things just worked a lot better for me. So, but then there's the other edge of the group of people where for women, it can start to cause dysfunction in your periods and cause more issues getting pregnant. So it just becomes so individualized of what people need.
Yeah, no, I loved it. I would, well, I don't want to now because we have to eat meat and dairy, but
is it possible to do like keto plant-based? That I feel like that'd be super hard, right? Like you're just sitting there eating like legumes and drinking coconut milk and avocado.
I would just like tofu and avocado because chickpeas and lentils and beans have a lot of carbs with it.
Oh, Corona!
She's isolated.
I have it for sure.
She's got it.
That's when I was at the grocery store the other day, and every time the seasons change, I do get the exact same cough every year. But I was like coughing and people were looking at me and I was like, do you say it's not that, or do you just like,
oh, you're evil. Like people are just like, you motherfucker. How dare you?
Jax coughed like this morning and I was like, oh, he's got the corona.
Yeah. He's like breastfeeding, he coughs. Get this little gremlin off of me.
You're done, hey? And I was like, I think there's the carnivore doc that was actually saying how, well, this is what, going back to what you were talking about of how
these carnivore dog. I was like, hold on a sec, what's going on here? Doctor. Okay, yeah.
Technically, my dog's a carnivore dog. He.
Did you only eat meat? That's it.
So I did for 3 weeks. I did it pretty consistently. I think there was one night that I had. I forget what I ate, but it wasn't carnivore. But that was the only thing that I didn't have carnivore for 3 weeks. So I just ate completely meat and butter.
What was the trial?
No vegetables, no fruit.
No vegetables, no fruit.
Hunks of meat.
What was the trial period that you wanted to do?
I wanted to do a month, and I think I only made it like almost 3 weeks.
I made it 3 weeks and 6 days, and just like the last day, it's like I can't fucking do this.
So how did you feel? What was it like?
Mm-hmm. So I don't know if it's like based on my ancestry or like the way my body's made up, but I found with keto, I felt amazing. And then with this, I also felt amazing. So I think there's something with carbs that are just don't work well for my body. And I find like I swell up very easily. So when I have a carb reduction, I don't swell up as easily, and like my clothes fit way better. My mind feels way better. My athletic endurance improves, so for me it's the way I should be doing things, but that's certainly not to say that it's going to work for everyone or that everyone should be doing it.
Did your husband do it?
No.
Okay, so do you guys do things like separate, like you don't do things and he doesn't?
She's like laugh. She's like,
oh. Well, no, because we honestly, like anything that he tries, we just do it together because I don't have time to cater to his needs. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, that means that you do cater to my needs.
Well, I cater to his needs, but then I just do it for everybody because.
Yeah, I think like I could keep doing things way longer if he was on board, and I say that to like anyone that's asking for nutritional changes. I'm like, is your partner on board? Because if not, it's going to be way harder to adhere to these things. So like that's part of the reason why it's not his fault. It was my choice to change. But like when there's chips in the house and when there's things to go off the rails with, it's really difficult to, and like everyone's like, oh, I assume you eat perfect all the time and you don't understand what I'm talking about. I'm like, hell no, like I am just like everyone else, and I have to put boundaries.
I'll send you a video later of me fucking crushing this bag of chips.
Yeah. And like I love teen burgers so much. I tell all of my patients that because I think it's just good to know that there's no secret to this. There's no magic pill that I take or thing that I follow that like will change lives. It's just consistency over time,
For
Well,
sure.
that's how we look at it too, is just, doing the best we can will help long term.
Well, what I'm finding now, and like, keep bringing back the Ben Greenfield, but like, he's actually like a real person when I'm like listening to his shit. He's like, this is like the biohacking shit for the body. It's like, okay, well, this is what I do if I stay up too late and have too many drinks. Like, I don't hear anybody saying that, like, like Dr. Rhonda Patrick. Like, I'm just like watching some of her stuff, and it's just like she's eating the fantastic food all the time, every day. She never talk about fucking, even if you say the word chips, she slaps you in the face. Like,
Well, I think that's a lot of just like the health and fitness industry in general, with like social media and everything now. People are showing you their highlight reel.
Yeah.
Very few people are saying,
I want to see a low light reel. That's what I want to see. I want to see the fucking lows of everybody.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, like I did bodybuilding years ago for a year or two, and so I still follow a lot of it. But I mean,
bodybuilding makes you sound like you're like doing like the
no,
big
I
chest.
did
You
the
bikini thing,
one,
right?
but it still falls under bodybuilding.
I did the bikini thing as well, right?
And
I lost.
even that whole culture, they're only showing you the best things. They're not showing you their rebound after the show when they gained 40 pounds in 3 days.
Man.
They don't show you those photos. They'll only show you the photos of
Nothing
when
against
they're cut for a show.
bodybuilding, but holy shit, I've seen some, maybe it's just
Crazy.
like locally,
So
I've
unhealthy.
seen some fucking unhealthy people doing that.
Yeah.
It's the most unhealthy.
Wild.
And you think they're healthy, but it's the absolute opposite. It's crazy.
Yeah. Do you work with any people like that, like bodybuilders and shit like that, or?
Yeah, I have for sure, and I think like it's tough, like to get a certain physique, and this is like kind of goes on such a broader spectrum too. Like, so many people will come into my office and be like, I want to lose 10 pounds, I want abs, I want this, and I'm just like, do you know how hard you have to work to get abs?
Sure.
Like, how restrictive you have to be, what body fat percentage you have to do, unless you have some sort of like genetic predisposition to be able to look like that. It's such hard work. And then I'm like, why do you want abs? If it's purely like visual thing, then we can get you there, but it's what in like the deepest, darkest hours keeps you away from eating that sleeve of Oreos, I don't care about abs. I don't care if I have them. So for me, it's just, I want the Oreos,
And even that, I mean, my abs only came out, the week of the show?
Mm-hmm.
You can see my abs?
Even
and it was months and months and months.
You're never, I think the thing that people forget is like, you will never, ever, I don't care who you are, this is a generality, like you will never be satisfied when you look in the mirror.
Yeah.
For the most part, you have to like really fucking, I don't want to sound like, a weirdo, but like take a spiritual approach to it and just kind of get good in your head. Like, you get your mind right first before you start working on just your body. Because your body, when you're getting older, when you stop working out as much or whatever, like that's going to change, right?
But even with the competing though, I mean, like, we looked at pictures just the other day from when I was competing. I had no idea I looked like that.
I forgot to shave in the bikini. That's why I lost.
I had no idea I was that small, and I looked at it and I had no idea.
That's the
we always look back
lost.
and we're like, we rip on ourselves when we're 18, we rip on ourselves when we're 20, we rip on ourselves when we're 30, and like if we could go back to those bodies, it would be ideal, right? So anyone that comes into me for weight loss or body composition changes, like I get them to journal and I get them to say like, what is your why? Because like, I can make you lose 10 pounds in a week. We'll just starve you. It's fine. But like, why? What is
intermittent fasting? We're gonna fast as long as you can.
7 days.
Yeah. So like, I don't actually do that. I'll have to say.
Disclaimer.
But it's like, what is the goal here, and why are you doing what you want to do? Because even for every athlete, and especially that's highlighted on the podcast too, like how hard it is, they have to work to get places. And when yours is released, it's the same story. Like, it's so much work and it's so much dedication. And there has to be a reason in your deepest, darkest hour where no one else is watching you, why you continue to do what you do. And I promise you, a weight goal is not going to do it. It's not going to keep you from something.
I cannot wait to hear his episode.
Yeah, me too. It's funny to listen to them again. Like, I listened to I obviously, you guys will do this too. You rip apart everything that you said. You rip apart your own voice. But it's fun to like remember the conversation, because usually when you're having it, you're like, okay.
Oh
Focus.
my God. I'll be honest with you. Like, and I said this to you when I recorded on
Reporting for duty.
podcast there. Like, and it was the same today. I was like, I told her, I was like, I'm jacked up. Like, I'm amped. Like, I'm ready to go on for a fight right now. Right? Like,
weirdly enough, I was kind of the opposite. I was really subdued today. Maybe
not me.
because
Like, I was
10
when we
other
first
things
started
today.
this, I was just like, like I'm like trying to sit here and like I'm like looking at this and I'm just like none of it's making sense. Get it away from me. Like it's just like man, it's
definitely we woke up both children.
Oh, they're gonna be awake, you know. Be fine. So
they should be part of the podcast. They're hilarious.
Oh,
sure
so I guess I better finish editing Brad's episode. Yes, please.
Yes, I want to hear.
I'd love to hear it. That'd be fantastic, right?
Yeah, I think.
He came home and I was like, "What'd you talk about?" He's like, "I don't know. I don't remember."
And you know what? It's kind of like I browned out. Like it was great. I loved it, and at the end of it, we were like, "Fuck, that was great."
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I can't fully remember all of it.
Yeah.
Because I got short-term memory, anyways, right? I can't remember too many punches in the head as a child from my parents. So.
Yeah, no, it's so funny, and like you guys are gonna love the process too. And I think like I had another girl that was in to my office the other day, and with all this free time, she's like, "What should I?" And then so many people had told her to start a podcast, and I think if anyone tells you to do it, then you should do it because there's just so many things to talk about and so many things to like educate people on, you know.
I think it's such a great, like, and you were saying like great creative release, like,
yeah.
And honestly, for anybody that's looking like an athlete, like I try to be, like,
You are an athlete.
I feel like this is going to be so helpful, right? Just because, like I said, like that's what I told her. I said when I left recording with you, I was like, I need this. This has to happen. Like fighting, I love fighting. Fighting.
Well, I've been talking about podcasts for
forever, hey?
Yeah, we're dying.
I've been talking
Lost, yeah.
about podcasting for forever.
Yeah,
but it took him coming home from yours to be like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah, but I actually did it. Like, so it's like, you know, like I've been fighting maybe once. Like I fought once this year so far. Like last year, it was like all the way back to June. And I won't be fighting anymore this year due to the virus, right? Like,
the virus.
I need this outlet like this because this makes me feel like before I walk into a fight, it gives me that excitement, right? So I fucking love it. I want to ask you one more thing. We're gonna have to wrap it up because children are moving. What do you think about the signals? And this is, you know, I told you I wouldn't ask you any hard questions, right? But here we go. You ready for this shit? No. So the signals, like the whoop shot, the signals that are going through your body, and this is something that weirded me out. This is constantly sending these signals. Like, can you see that? Like that green shit.
And same with on an Apple Watch.
Constantly going through your body all the time. Like, is there any kind of ramifications to that? Do we know about this yet? So, not to put you on the spot, but I need some answers, and I need them to be 100% accurate. Ready? Go.
I have no idea.
Right? So yeah.
That's, I think, like with the wearable tech, we're just getting to the forefront of what's possible with it. I think with each new model, like more things that are coming out, but like even with, you know, some of the super conspiracy theorists about 5G and stuff like that, like,
yeah,
we don't know what's coming down the line, and we don't know what we're putting in our bodies that's harming us. But
yeah.
I think like there's things we can do to mitigate it. So you guys take, you know, you eat really healthy, you sleep well, you care about your health, you're mitigating a lot of the potential damage anyway, if there is damage from it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I see it. And then, I don't know, just making sure you're getting all the right supplements, making sure you're taking care of your body, making sure you're eating healthy is all you can do.
Yeah. Cool. Well, Coke's got the virus, so I think we're going to wrap it up here. You know, we don't want to get it over the phone, so...
Because that also spreads through the phone.
It spreads. It's 100% guaranteed that you will get it. So thanks, folks. Really appreciate it. Great having you on here today. And yeah, this is the preview for Total Transparency, the new podcast.
Yeah.
Good luck to you guys. I'm excited for you.
Okay. See you later. Have a great day.
Bye.
Save.
Okay. Are you sure you want to end?